Hi, Marina.
Hi, Liat. Today, I'd like to ask you to tell the difference or explain the difference between what we call massive action and inspiring action. Massive action is a buzzword, but please tell us the difference. How do you see the difference?
Yeah, it's a buzzword that gives me the chills. So massive action is definitely a word that we often hear in the coaching world. People talking about the more you do, the more you'll create results. If you want to get to some certain goal or destination, you just need to be in the move, keep doing, keep going. The more you do, at the end you'll reach results. Massive actions, massive results. So if you want to
Mm.
create massive results in your life, you have to do massive actions. I always say that, I'm a good student. I learn and I implement, and then I correct uh, depending on the results I see and how I feel as I
Mm.
do everything. And I have to say that massive action was definitely, something that led my life for many years. I was a doer, I was an achiever, I was always in the move, learning something, doing something, creating something. And I felt two things. First, was a huge difference between the energy that I put in and the results that I receive. I knew that I was doing more than enough. I knew that I was doing a lot, but then I asked, okay, maybe I'm not doing the right things. Maybe I'm not doing enough. And there was a conflict there that I couldn't
Mhm.
understand why there's such a big uh, difference or a gap between the amount of energy that I invest and the results that I receive. And
Mhm.
I couldn't find what else can I do more or like that it just didn't make sense. Like there was some missing link there that I
Mhm.
could not
Mhm.
understand. Why do I do so
Mhm.
much? Why I'm in this massive actions for many, many years? It wasn't like, a short period of time, for really decades. And
Mhm.
yet
Can you
not
elaborate on the feeling there before you talk
Yes,
about
yes,
inspiring
of course,
action?
because that's that's one of the things that created the change because you learn a lot, okay? And
Mhm.
you go to see experts and you pay a lot of money, and especially, for example, in my business, because I'm self-employed, I have my own company and I work for myself for over 2 decades.
Mhm.
And massive actions, again, it comes from this business world coaching saying if you want to achieve, money, if influence, reach many people and create a change in the world, you have to do a lot. So I went from one counselor to another, from one expert to the other. I paid a lot of money, really, hundreds of thousands of dollars along the years, trying to understand what am I doing wrong or what am I not doing enough or what else do I need to learn in order to create different results. Because I felt that no matter what I do or how much I invest,
Mhm.
money, energy, etc.,
Time, yes.
I reach this glass ceiling. It doesn't seem to change no matter how much, I do. And this feeling that maybe something's wrong with me, maybe it's not for me, like, I'm not meant to do such great things. Although
Mhm.
within myself, like I felt there's something big there that really wants to go out and to influence and create a change, but I don't seem to find a way to really create this. And this feeling that, maybe I'm in the wrong place. Maybe, what I do is not good enough. Maybe me myself, I'm not good enough. And it really took me to places, and I think, our listeners that been there are there,
Mhm.
probably are familiar with that you do so much and you get so little results. You really question everything, like about who you are and what you do and whether or not you're in the right place. And it's not easy, and
Yes. Mhm.
I came to do what I'm doing from a place of purpose and will to help people. as well as myself, I never,
Mm-hmm.
I never made this change to be a billionaire or something like that. But I felt that I need to be rewarded according to the energy and everything that I put out in the world. And this feeling really took me many, many times to a place that I asked myself, maybe I'm in the wrong place. Maybe I need to close my business. Maybe I need to go and, work for someone else because it's not working. I'm doing a lot. I'm doing massive actions. I am not
Mm-hmm.
receiving massive results. That led me to think, okay, well, what's wrong in this equation? Why isn't that working? And I saw that
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the only one it wasn't working for. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was working with many people, doers, achievers, that there was no balance between how much they do and invest to what they actually create. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, Something here is missing. Like something here is not right." And when I came to create the Masters of Creation model, the 12 steps model to create your reality, I wrote down all the steps to take an idea, basically take energy and make it into form, or take ideas and make it into our reality. And action was actually one before last. Like, there was so many things before that. And that led me to the understanding why I was, working from back to the beginning, like from the wrong way, because massive actions can create massive results, although today I'm not even talking about massive action, but actions can create results if they are aligned. Like
Mm-hmm.
if they come from the right place, from the right energy, if you are in alignment to what you came here to create, if it's within alignment with your belief system, with your paradigms, with your fears,
Feeling.
emotions,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
only after you synchronize all of that, you aligned all the other layers, only then you go out and do something, you do actions in the world. And if you do massive actions from a place of lack of alignment, you will actually receive not the results that you want, but the more often than not the opposite. And that's what frustrated me and so many other people, that it's not only that you're not moving forward, it really seems that you're moving backwards.
Backward. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. Because your actions are not in alignment with the other realms within yourself that we spoke about before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's the spiritual, the mental, and the emotional, as well as your nervous system. What happens is when you're not in alignment and you go out and do the actions, what actually creates reality is your vibration, is your subconscious, it's your fears. Okay, it's your beliefs that maybe I'm not good enough, maybe, it's not for me, looking back at all the failures and expecting to fail again. And
Mm-hmm.
when all of this is in the background of
Mm-hmm.
your action, there will be no massive results, not the ones that you
That
want.
want at least, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Different results than you planned or you wanted.
Exactly. And
Mm.
and you'll end up really tired and,
Mm.
lacking energy
And
because you
frustrated.
and frustrated, exactly. And
Mm-hmm.
and again, as I said before, feeling that something is not right within me, something is not enough, I'm not enough,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in
Mm-hmm.
the wrong place, the wrong time, I don't
Yes.
know. When I understood that, and actions are a part of my life, and they are important, by the way, I have to say, what kind of happen in self-help world sometimes is, people understand that massive actions doesn't work, so they go to
Mm-hmm.
the other extreme, not doing anything.
Mm.
Okay, and
Mm.
just praying,
Mm.
believing, mantras, meditations, all of that, with no action at all. There's need to be action. Action is what we do in the physical realm, and it's important. It's part of moving energy, and it's part of our reality creation. But it has to come from the right place at the right time, and not just doing, 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 and hoping,
Mhm.
something will show up. action is important, doing is important. It's just important how and when you do this. In the model, what happens is we understand who we are. We work on our identity, we work on our purpose, we work on our core beliefs. We understand our free will, our true will, alignment in our focus, in our intention, in our attention, all of that. We work on the three other realms, again, which are
Mm-hmm.
the spiritual, mental, and emotional. And
Mm-hmm.
only when they are aligned to the results that you want to create, only then you ask yourself, what is the inspired action, as you said, that is actually coming from within? And that's another important thing because massive action usually comes from someone else telling us what's the right thing to do and how things are being done. And
Mm-hmm.
here the inspired action, inspired and in spirit, okay? It comes from
Mm-hmm.
within, it comes from spirit. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
it's in an inspired action and an action that comes from within, it comes from your spirit that tells you, okay, this is the next step you should take. And this will take everything that you've already done, everything that is already in alignment to actually creating massive results. And I would say it's an inspired action that creates massive results. And it's really important not consuming your energy because when you take an inspired action, you actually feel that you're filling up instead of
Cell phone,
draining
yes.
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So inspired
Mm-hmm.
action is actually an action that gives you more energy than it takes. And the interesting thing about inspired action is sometimes since it comes from within, it doesn't make sense. And that's one of the reasons that it's hard for us to
Mm-hmm.
trust it because an inspired action can be go to the beach and call a friend or even browse, something or read a book or meditate or sometimes, do a marketing plan, but it's not necessarily logically connected to the result, but it comes from a place that you are connected to the result, and thus it's this spirit within you that actually knows the bigger picture and who you are about to meet and what kind of an idea can come from reading something or even, browsing Instagram or whatever. Then you'll find, something that will actually move you forward much more than, again, so-called doing the right thing and a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
Inspired action is
Uh,
an action that comes from within. It's something that you feel like doing. I wouldn't say necessarily easy because sometimes, it's an expansion, so it might feel a little uncomfortable, but it's something from within you that you know that you want to do,
mm-hmm.
and there's a part of you that knows that, okay, that's the next step I want to take. Usually comes from much more ease than massive action. I would say something about that some of us, me included, okay, we are so used to doing massive actions and doing so much, even if it's not right for us, that sometimes just being in this doing mode is easier for us just because it gives some sort of comforting to our, ego that it's doing something to move forward. So we kind of train ourselves to be in this, massive action, massive doing. But if you really ask yourself and go within, you know that it's not really doing anything good in the long run, for my inner self. But I'm just used to it. Okay. And it gives me again, this comfort that I'm actually in control, that I'm actually trying to do something to change my situation. But when you combine everything that we just spoke about, you know that when you do this inspired action and you trust it, even if it doesn't make sense, you just know within you that somehow, somewhere, some way, it will lead you to the right place. It will lead you to the result that you actually want to create.
wow, beautifully explained. I must admit, and you were talking about the different stages, and that the action comes only at the end, which is like the 11th or 12th stage in your model, which is a 12-step model, and When I first saw it, it really blew my mind because we are all used to doing actions. I mean, that's the basic thing you do. And this change that you presented here, the change or the difference between massive action and inspiring action, it's not easy to grasp and not easy to practice. However, when it comes from an aligned place, as you explained, an aligned place to who we are, you get to the results you want in an easier way and a more aligned way. In other words, you feel that you've come home, that what you're doing is based on your wishes, what you want to do in life, and not based on what someone else told you to do, which is not necessarily what is good for
Exactly.
us or aligned with who we are.
In addition to what you said,
Mm,
one of the things, we learned again that we need to sacrifice the now
mm,
for some
mm,
glorified future. When you take an inspired action, what happens is you are at the moment in this vibration, in this energy of what you want to create in the future. So it's not only easier and comes from a place of, more energy and from inspiration, but you actually really, not just as a motto, but really enjoy the way to the destination because that's what's built in with inspired action, that you do something that you really want to do and you enjoy what you're doing. So you don't need to sacrifice the now in order to get to some certain destination, but you actually enjoy the way to get there. So that's another important building stone in this inspired action. Completely changes how we live our life and not just waiting for someday, some results, something that I'll get there and then I will be happy, be healthy, be wealthy, whatever. It happens
mhm,
in the now. And that's a big
mhm.
change in how you live your life, not just, what you do and the action, but entirely how you go about your life.
Well, it was a very important point you just mentioned. And I think that it gives so much hope for people who are on the way. We are all on the way. But again, the way could be kinder to us and not wait for some result at the end of the road, which we don't know when that's going to come. We live it every day. It makes our lives so much happier, maybe, or hopeful. Thank you. Thank you, Liat, so much for this
Thank you,
episode.
Ryan.
Thank you.
Thank you.